Hello, alongside Ryan Sir, I'm Don Helbig, and welcome to the Pick Six, the podcast by the Attractions Group, where we bring you the latest and greatest stories from the world of the attractions and amusement industry.
Thanks, Don. Before we dive into this week's Pick Six, let me remind our listeners where they can tune into the Attractions Group podcast. You can catch us on all your favorite podcast platforms, Apple, Google, Spotify, etc. And make sure to subscribe, like, and share on YouTube. And make sure you share this with all your favorite coaster enthusiasts and theme park enthusiast friends.
All right, now let's jump into the latest news from the attractions industry.
Okay, let's start off with some really questionable news. So story number one. Our first story comes out of Six Flags, and this is being reported very widely on the internet that several Six Flags parks have hung up signs and added to their digital signage that they're adding a 99-cent surcharge on food purchases. And they actually cite increasing labor and supply costs. It's been widely reported, but it's not clear if they're doing it just on food or if they're going to do it on merchandise as well. Don, Cedar Fair and Six Flags are about to merge. Are we looking at the future?
You know, Ryan, certainly that could be a foreshadowing of things to come, when the merger does take place. It's an interesting point. The impact of such surcharges, it does raise a lot of questions. From the guest experience standpoint, you see those signs that you mentioned up there. Is that a negative before you even make the purchase when you see something like that? When the parks, when the merger, if it does go through, and they start integrating things across all the properties, they take the best and everything of what everybody does, the best practices. Does that practice get rolled into the Cedar Fair parks? So certainly a lot of questions are going to be out there about this. What are your thoughts?
Well, I'm looking at a photo, and this is the one I'm going to put up over the image right now. But they're charging $15.49 for a Cobb salad. Uh, so I don't really have a lot of sympathy for your increased expenses in labor and so on for a company that charges $15.49 for a Cobb salad. I understand that stuff costs more at theme parks. I really do. But to try to play the sympathy card where your expenses increase, so I'm adding a dollar onto all transactions, I don't think that's going to sit very well, at least in the Cincinnati market. I think there's going to be a lot of negative press, and I don't think they're up for the challenge.
Now, the one thing I'll say is, I appreciate the transparency on that.
Yes, I mean, like, I could see them adding a dollar and not telling anybody. I mean, because some companies do that, but, it would have to be transparent. This is one of those things where, like, SeaWorld does have a 5% surcharge. They claim it's for, like, conservation or something, but I don't really know of anybody that has a lot of details on that, and, I know that was very negatively processed by the locals, especially in Orlando. But they still do it, so obviously it didn't hurt business that much. But the real question is it gonna be a dollar per item or a dollar per transaction? Or is it gonna be in merchandise too? Because your food expenses didn't go up more than your merchandise expenses, I imagine.
No, but let's say it's just per transaction. And again, we don't know, but if it's just per transaction and you say you get three meals, a couple of treats or something like that, so four or five different things, that's, five or six more dollars to go. And it's already, expensive as it is to buy the food, buy the merchandise, all these other kind of things. So, I don't know. It's going to be interesting. So moving on, the debut season of Jollywood Nights at Disney's Hollywood Studios is creating some buzz. Mixed reviews are out there, especially regarding pricing and the duration. But mega popular YouTuber, the Tim Tracker, he seems to be a big fan of it. Ryan, what are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, people are really split on the Jollywood Nights thing. I've been trying to find a positive review, and I haven't found anybody that glowed on it. Tim Tracker, I had people coming to me saying, I'm never going to listen to Tim Tracker again, because there's a lot of conspiracy theorists out there that Tim Tracker's on Disney's payroll. I don't watch him enough to really have a huge opinion on that, although he does seem to primarily cover Disney. And so I watched his video very specifically because I wanted to see what his take was on how great this event was and stuff. And honestly, I think he came off as just being nice. Like he and his wife, I think the Jen Tracker as they call her, they do a lot of like food sampling and stuff. which that's not my thing on YouTube. I don't like to watch other people eat. So I'm not the biggest fan of their channel, but I think he was trying to be objective and he was just like, there is an avenue to have fun at this party. The event consists of, it's more adult oriented. It's got a Muppets, I just said it's adult oriented and I follow with, it's got a Muppet show. But it does have a Muppet show, that actually kind of reminds me of, Charlie Brown's Christmas Spectacular, where it's Muppets along with live people. And that's in I don't remember what the name of the venue is, but where they do Beauty and the Beast over by Phantasmic, the Hollywood Bowl. Um, so the footage I've seen looks cool. And they do have what they call the Sky High Lounge, I think. And that's over by Tower of Terror. And the thing that people have been critiquing with that is they play it up like it's this big dapper party, but the reality is it's like a rollout cart that serves pre-mixed drinks. They do have a live band though. But I was thinking about going to the event this year when I'm down there for Mickey's Christmas party, but I think I'm gonna pass.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me a little bit, just based on what I'm seeing online with the different reviews. Several years ago they rolled out a little show based off High School Musical, and it was okay, but it wasn't. It didn't meet the expectations that I had, or other guests had at the time, for what it was built up to be. So it feels a little bit like that.
Yeah, I agree. And you got to remember that these events cost right around $180. This one's only 4 hours long, too. And on top of that, at Mickey's Christmas party, you get to enter Magic Kingdom at 4, I think. And this one, you don't get to enter until like 6:30. So it's a lot less bang for your buck. I think the event will come around, but this year seems like it's got some growing to do. All right. So let's move along. Universal's launched their holiday celebration. Let's give a shout out to Earl the Squirrel. Um, they've got Grinchmas. They've got the Wizarding World of Harry Potter. Does a Christmas display as well as a projection show on the on the castle there. Um, Christmas decorations over the rest of the park. And you'll have Banshee singing in Diagon Alley. Universal Studios Florida hosts nightly performances of Universal's Hollywood Parade featuring Macy's. And so my understanding, by the way, is that until Thanksgiving, they actually are the balloons for the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. Then they ship them up to New York. And I don't know if they come back or not, but I imagine they don't. But anyway, the parade features DreamWorks and Illuminations animated characters as well as iconic balloons and floats and dancers and so on. Don, what are your thoughts on this? We when we were down there for IAPA, we got to see the decorations, but we didn't do much Christmas stuff, did we?
No, we didn't do much Christmas stuff, and if you're looking at favorites and that, it's really hard to pick just one. The Wizarding World always adds that magical touch to it. A lot going on, that's for sure. A lot going on there that you want to see. Grinchmas, that's always a cool thing. And if you're a fan of The Grinch Who Stole Christmas, so it really is something that you want to check out. But it's really hard to pick just one thing that would be the main thing to do, because it's all so good. Now, shifting gears, the IAPA Expo 2023 just concluded, bringing together thousands in the attractions industry. That's a pretty impressive number, and the economic impact on Orlando, it's very substantial. Ryan, what are your thoughts on what you heard about IAPA 2023?
I mean, unfortunately, I did not get to attend. However, been there several times. I've made 3 or 4 visits down there, and it's hard to get a hotel room near the convention center. You see the amount of people that are there from all over the world, United States, South America, China. The impact has got to be astounding. Anytime there's a big convention, the city feels it. I was down there on business one time a couple years ago, and there was a construction convention, and if you wanted to like Applebee's, it was a 2-hour wait. But so I can only imagine.
Yeah, you mentioned all the hotels. I think you and I found out last year that everywhere is walking distance if you have the time, when we tried to go from our hotel by foot to IAPA.
If you've got the time and the stamina. And I should point out that we decided we were going to walk to the convention and then turned around and drove. So I don't think it's fair to
We got about
say.
halfway there.
I don't think we made
We
it
should have just
halfway.
kept going. No, I don't know, but it was a walk. But no, it's just brings so many people, to the Orlando area, and it's just really, really great for the city to host this event every year.
Yeah, so, shifting gears, so, Thunderhawk at Dorney is turning 100 in 2024. Don, have you ridden Thunderhawk? What are your memories of that ride?
I have ridden Thunderhawk. It's a very good wooden coaster. I mean, it was old at the time that I rode it, which was back in 1984, the first time I experienced that ride. It's a coaster with, a legacy that dates back to 1924. It deserves, recognition going into its 100th year. All the focus is going to be on Steel Menace, the new dive coaster that's opening next year. So I hope it doesn't get lost in the shuffle that this coaster is celebrating its 100th anniversary in 2021. The coaster was designated as an American Coaster Enthusiast Landmark. It's the oldest operating coaster within Dorney Park's parent company, Cedar Fair. It's also one of the oldest operating coasters in the world. When I first rode it, it was simply called the coaster. It wasn't until 1989 that it got its name, Thunderhawk.
Hmm,
But a lot of fun.
yeah.
Or while we're on the subject of wooden coasters, the Racer at Kings Island is undergoing extensive track work on the north side, that's the blue side, with more than 1,000 feet of track. On the return to the station being retracted this summer or this winter. What are your thoughts on the extensive work that's gone on with the Racer the last 3 years, Ryan?
We've discussed this quite a bit, but it's like a brand new ride. The ride feels faster. It feels like it has airtime now. It's so smooth. I mean, a lot of it that because we had Mike Graham on the show. The Gravity Group is the one doing this renovation, but um, he mentioned that your people add cars, they add lap bars, they add headrests. People are getting fatter. They're adding a lot of weight to this stuff, and it's fine for the track, but it's just not designed for it. And that's part of the contributor to a less comfortable ride. Well, their new track design is designed to take that extra weight. Primarily with the renovations to the trains that no longer have buzz bars. So I think it's like a brand new ride. Don, you're Mr. Racer. What do you think?
It does feel like a brand new ride. In a lot of ways, it reminds me of how it felt when I first started riding it in 1972 and then almost daily throughout the 80s. It was so smooth back then. You could use the word butter smooth to describe it. And I felt that feeling again when they did the first part of the retracking with the Gravity Group going into the 2021 season. And then you had last year, they did the south side, the red side. That was phenomenal, from start to finish. And very excited about what they're doing now with the blue side. So you really got to give a lot of credit to Cedar Fair, Kings Island's management team, to put what they're putting in to keeping this ride running great and available. It's over 50 years old now, but now with all this work and everything like it's preserving it for future generations to enjoy. You see a lot of parks, first sign of some trouble on a wood coaster, let's tear it down and put something else in, or let's convert it to RMC, whatever it is. But they've chosen to preserve this for those future generations to enjoy. And, you really, really got to give Kings Island and Cedar for credit for wanting to do that.
I agree. I mean, it's a huge commitment. I imagine that the overall maintenance of an RMC is probably generally cheaper than it is for a wood coaster because a wood coaster is something you're always building. But this is kind of like, it's kind of like how you have to paint your house every 10 years, but every once in a while you tear down the garage and build a new one. This is that tear down the garage and build a new one kind of situation. But yeah, absolutely true. And, I don't want to suck up or anything, but you can find the story on themeparksbydon.com to find more information about this racer retrack from the man that rode the racer more than anybody would bother to ride it themselves.
That's right. Yeah, it's my first ever roller coaster ride. So it always has a special place in my heart. I know it's the first coaster for a lot of other people, and has significant meaning for them. And just really excited about, everything they've done to that ride over the past 3 years. And it also includes, repainting it back to its original colors, red, white, and blue. Don't underestimate that. I mean, it was always stunning when you looked at it in the 70s and the 80s, whether you're in the Eiffel Tower, you were walking down the Coney Mall Midway, just looked absolutely stunning, beautiful. And to bring that back, it really added something to the Coney Mall area to do that again. Very vibrant looking now.
Yeah, yeah, I'm really enjoying the paint scheme. Like I said, we discussed this before, but Backward Racer was my first big coaster. So the racer will does mean a lot to me. When I was little, the racer was white and black. So to me, it only existed red, white, and blue in the Brady Bunch episode and old photos and stuff. So it's really cool to kind of like relive that history now. Um, but yeah, so cool, good for the racer. I'm looking forward to riding that next year. Don, do you have any final thoughts?
Yeah, I have a question for you about Thanksgiving. Okay, it's this week. Uh, do you create a wedge in the top of your mashed potatoes for the gravy, or do you just pour it all
I
over?
create a wedge.
I'm a wedge person too. I think that's the only way to do it.
So
Keeps things clean and organized, right?
the reason why I create a wedge is because we often had mashed potatoes in my cafeteria when I was in like grade school, and that's how they would serve it. What they would do is they would take the ladle, push it into it, and turn it, and that's what created the little volcano shape. Um, so that's just how it's always been to me. And I kind of enjoy like cutting into the mashed potatoes and then they leak out like lava and stuff. I'm a kid. I'm just a kid.
Yeah, yeah.
um,
Well, I'm the same way with it. I think that's what makes it more fun, when you have the wedge and then, like you said, it kind of like pours out and kind of starts to get on some other things. But um, yeah, I'm not one of those that's just gonna like dump it all over the place on your plate.
so let me ask you this: do you like gravy on other things, like on your turkey and your stuffing and stuff?
Love it on the turkey. Yes, stuffing depends on what kind of stuffing it is. Everybody makes a different type. So if I have to kind of, sometimes you have to put it on there
Right.
to be able to eat the stuffing.
Yeah.
So you have no
Sometimes you're just
choice
eating bread.
with that. But yeah, so no,
Not
I
sure I
definitely put it
understand.
on the turkey, and occasionally I'll even put it on mac and cheese.
Yeah, I mean, if there's some spillover, man, I'm not gonna not eat that mac and cheese. Let's not kid ourselves. Yeah, I think when it comes to turkey, I like the white meat, and I like to sprinkle it with salt, so you add that little extra pizzazz, and I don't mind some pepper on it too, but I especially like salt and pepper on the mashed potatoes, no matter how much is in
Yeah,
there.
you got to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to do that combination there. I'm gonna go probably like 75% salt, 25% pepper on the turkey, and then I'm gonna go the opposite way for the mashed potatoes.
Yeah, there's something about the contrast of the colors that makes the pepper taste better on the mashed potatoes, so you can see them so prominently. So I'm kinda with you with that. Do you like cranberries, like cranberry juice stuff that comes out of the can?
No,
Neither do I.
not at all. It's for me. It's the turkey, it's the mashed potatoes, it's mac and cheese, deviled eggs, and then I will do a little bit of the dressing.
See, I didn't like dressing growing up. My sister was really into it, but I wasn't, but it's grown on me. Uh, so are you one of the people that buys into that the tryptophan from turkey makes you tired? Have you heard that? If
No,
you eat the turkey, so apparently it doesn't have enough in it to affect you, but the reason why that people fall asleep after eating Thanksgiving dinner is because they eat like 180 carbs and your body just goes into overload mode and that's why you want to
no,
sleep.
I'm we'll eat at noon, and then we'll come back again for the next round at 4 o'clock, and then we'll have the late night snack at 8 o'clock, and you got football. It's always been a tradition for me on Thanksgiving to watch the Detroit Lions, and then now they used to be the only game that you had. Now it's kind of an all day thing. They got three different games going on, but yeah, so we started a tradition, a few years ago where we go to Tennessee down in the Pigeon Forge area, rent a cabin, spend several days down there and just have Thanksgiving there, and it's really relaxing. And um, but yeah, I don't get tired from eating the turkey. No, what about you?
Do,
Not at
do
all.
you do you bring everything down with you or do you go shopping in?
Yes, the majority we're bringing down with us, and then we'll make a quick, trip to the store. We'll do that. Um, the day before and just pick up some of those final things, like maybe a couple of pies, some biscuits, that type of thing, just the final things. But the majority of it, no, it's all coming down, all the pans and pots and everything goes with us.
Yeah, because who knows what they're gonna have in that cabin. I've had cabins that have full, like you could totally cook a meal, and then I've also had cabins where everything's empty. You know,
No, it's got everything. It's got the plates and it's got the works. I mean, it's a really nice cabin, plenty of room in that. But we'll bring down our own our own items.
And do you visit Dollywood while you're down there?
Absolutely.
Are they open on Thanksgiving?
Dollywood. They're not open on Thanksgiving, but they are open the day after and the day before. So yeah, Dollywood is definitely part of the plan. Every year we go down there, and then we'll do other things. You got the Apple Barn
Mhm.
that's down there, so we always have to do that. You got Bucky's now. As you get off the expressway there, as you're getting into Sevierville, so that's a must stop right there. Um, there's several of these roads. I'll call them roadside attraction type places. There's like Boss Hogs is the name of the place. It's got the best sausage that I've ever had. Pulled pork, off the charts good. So we'll stop at places like that as well.
That's cool. Yeah, I've always, wanted to make it down there for the Hatfield-McCoy Christmas dinner feud. I know you wrote about that a little bit, but,
Yeah, gonna look to do that. And there's also Comedy Barn has a Christmas show. So trying to squeeze it all in a like a 5-day period. It's tough, but we're gonna try to get in as much as we can.
yeah. I wonder if the Pirates one does a Christmas thing. That'd be funny. Like, I didn't know pirates celebrated Christmas because their fake tree would be sliding on the deck as the ship is rocking and
Yeah, yeah, but there's so much like we've talked about it on our previous episodes and that. There's so much to do in that Pigeon Forge area that you could spend 2 weeks down there and not even scratch the surface on the things to do.
Yeah, I walk around Gatlinburg a lot of times, and I've got this laundry list of, like, roadside attraction things that I like touristy things I wanna do down there. I did get to knock off a lot of the, Ripley stuff, so I've done the aquarium, believe it or not, and their, alpine coaster. But
Hmm.
there's a lot of other stuff down there that's, like, in that vein that I really wanna try.
You
Unfortunately
done the crime museum?
no, no, we've stayed at that hotel right by it several times, and I've always been tempted. I had friends that went there and they loved it, but I really want to. And there's a couple car museums too that are right on the Gatlinburg Strip that I want to check out as well.
Yeah, the crime museum, especially when you look at like the Ted Bundy car
Mhm.
and that, I mean, it's almost one of those hair raising on your arm type things because it's kind of chilling when you're looking at some of these pieces of, items that they have in there.
Yeah, I agree. Cool. Any other thoughts?
No other thoughts. We want to wish everyone a happy and healthy and safe Thanksgiving.
Yeah. So happy, healthy, happy, happy, healthy, safe Thanksgiving. I'm just gonna give up. I can't say that. But what Don said, ditto. So everybody enjoy yourselves, eat your turkey, and we will see you next week. Make sure that you follow along with us on all of our podcast apps on YouTube by searching for the Attractions Group Podcast and Twitter at attractions underscore GRP. All right. Thanks, everybody.